Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make oatmeal raisin cookies. In class, the reason you're making this recipe is because you are going to be practicing your measurements using a scale. So this lab will introduce you to using that along with the fluffy biscuits that you will also be doing in this unit. Now here, this is a scale, it's a digital scale. There's different types of scales, digital, spring scale, balance scale. In class we use the digital scale most often. We have these smaller scales, and these can weigh up to 32 ounces, which is 2 pounds. Now depending on what scale you use, like this one, it only can weigh in ounces and grams. Some of the other ones also weigh as a fraction. So it weighs in ounces, grams, and as a fraction. Make sure that when you're looking at your recipe, the oatmeal cookie recipe measures only in ounces, and then also with teaspoons and cups and whatnot. But some of them will actually go back and forth between ounces and grams. So you want to make sure that you're switching the unit on your scale, okay? Now when you start measuring any kind of ingredient, you want to make sure that when you put it in, and I'm just going to demonstrate with the shortening, you want to start off by, you put your contraption on, okay? It's weighing my bowl, and then I'm going to zero it out, okay? And then what I would do is I would put my shortening into there until, and it should be 1.5 ounces because you're reducing this down, and I have exactly 1.5 ounces, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be putting this, I just wanted to show you how to do that. Everything else I already have pre-measured for you. I'm not going to show you the same thing over and over. So I'm going to put this right into here. Okay, so now I'm going to make these cookies for you. Our fat ingredient in this recipe is shortening. It's just like butter, margarine, whatever. This already has a lot more ingredients. So shortening just provides some tenderness and texture. I'm going to add my white sugar, and we're also using brown sugar. The only difference between the two is brown sugar has molasses added, which is why it's a thicker granule, or not a thicker granule, but it like clumps together at room temperature. So all brown sugar has the molasses added, where white sugar is just from sugar cane ground up. And I'm going to be creaming my shortening and my sugars together, so we'll be right back. Okay, so I've creamed together my shortening, my fat ingredient, and my 2 types of sugar. And as you can see, creamy is the process of combining them together and creating a creamy-like substance, which once it clumps like this, you are ready to go. You can also do this in a kitchen mixer, and it will save you some time. Some rooms are not always equipped with them, and sometimes it's just quicker to mix it by hand, so it's totally up to you. The next thing my recipe says to do is to add my egg. Half of an egg is what you're adding, which is, I've already obtained that. And just mix it together, like so. Now it's important that you're following your step-by-step directions in your recipe. So creaming, adding the egg, then adding my orange juice concentrate, which is our secret ingredient in this recipe. This gives the cookies a nice texture and a unique sweetness. All combined. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set this aside. This is my wet mixture. So I'm going to combine our dry ingredients. So to this, I am going to add in here's my flour, which I've already measured, my baking soda, baking powder, which are my leavening agents that helps my cookie puff up, and then some salt, which helps with flavor. What also helps with flavor are my spices, and this has a combination. We have some cinnamon, some allspice, and some nutmeg, which is typical, like, fall-like flavors. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix that together. And then it tells me to add this to my wet mixture, which I am doing right in the bowl. And I'm just going to combine this together until it clumps up and makes a dough. Just like so. You see no more white. Now this is going to be somewhat of it's not going to like be very, very thick, which is fine because we still have to add our oats and our raisins. Okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do is I have my oats but I have not measured my raisins. So I want to show you a little trick with measuring them. Okay. So I'm going to turn my scale on. Okay, zero it out. Okay, we're good to go. And I'm going to have, we're having two kinds of raisins. Regular raisins and then golden raisins. These are a little bit sweeter, okay? And we need 1.5 ounces of each. So you just kind of put them in. I have 1.1, 1.3, 1.4. It's not moving. 1.5. Okay. Now, instead of getting another bowl, I can simply zero this out, and then I can now put in my golden raisins and go through the whole thing again. Since these are already going to be combined together anyway, now it's only measuring the golden raisins. So that will save you some time and cleanup. $1.2, $1.4, so just maybe 1.5. There we go. Take that off. I'm going to add my oats. And the original recipe calls for a ½ pint of oats, which is 1 cup, which you're going to reduce down in half. So you need ½ cup of oats. I'm just going to give this a quick mix. And then I'm going to combine it into my dough. And just give it a quick mix. You don't want the oats, you don't have to like mix it full speed, hardcore. You just want to make sure that the oats and raisins are thoroughly combined. And as you can see, it thickened up totally. It's not as wet and loose. If you don't like raisins, simply don't add them, but you have to add your oats or the batter will not be thick enough. Okay? So now what we're going to do is these are ready for shaping. Let's move this aside. Okay. So in class, you and your partner are going to be sharing a baking sheet with another group. So you're going to simply draw a line down the center, write you and your partner's name and group number, and then they'll do the same on their side. And then you will portion off your cookies. To do that, you're going to use a portion scoop or a disher. We talk about that these come in different sizes. This is a 1 ounce portion scoop, so you have 1 ounce cookies. This makes it so the cookies are all evenly distributed and they all look the same. If you didn't use one of these, you can also use like a tablespoon or a teaspoon measurement just for the consistency. The disher just makes it easier because it has the lever operation that makes it so you can do it quicker. So let me show you how this goes. So you simply put it in, press against the side, and then you're just going to hit your cookie, or drop your cookie, not hit it. Right like so. You want them about about 2 inches apart. They will spread. Oops. Just like so. And then what you're going to do before you put them in the oven is you're just going to flatten them out just a little bit, and it just helps them cook and spread a little bit, what I find with this recipe. And then you are going to bake these in the oven at 350 degrees, or 325, and they will take about 10 to 12 minutes. I'll show you them when they're complete. Okay, so our oatmeal raisin cookies have come out of the oven, and I've let them cool. Now, the thing with this recipe, because of the orange juice concentrate and the 2 types of sugar and the shortening, these, when they come out of the oven, they'll look golden brown, just like so, and you'll go to pick them up, and the center will still be somewhat mushy. All that means is that you need to let them cool. They really need at least a good 10 to 15 minutes roundabout to let them cool, or else when you pick them up, they're going to break right in half. But this is what your finished product will look like. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're distributing your dough on your baking sheet, Make sure that there's no like loose ends, because in the convection oven, this will like fly up, and you can see it kind of misformed some of my cookies. So just keep that in mind when you're portioning out your dough. You will eat and enjoy.